G'day Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs, 10 rounds in. Let's discuss, has Cameron Ciraldo lived up to the hype? It'd be pretty hard, there was a lot of hype, probably too much. But I'm going to give you my perspective on him, and I'd like to hear your points of view as well after this is done. And can we make the 8? Well, let's start with can we make the 8. It's going to be difficult. We need to win 2 of our next 2 games. We need to beat the Warriors and the Titans, no doubt about that. Probably need to win 10 of the last 15 or 16 games. I reckon 30 to 32 is going to be the cutoff, but, you know, funnier things have happened. 28's got some teams in there, and the Titans got in on, I think, 10 wins or something a couple of years ago. But much closer competition and a lot of surprises, very close in all aspects. So I'll tell you what, it's going to come down to the wire for a lot of teams. I think our for and against hasn't helped us, and there's been a lot in that. I'm going to go through some of the stats in a moment, but we've got the Warriors and Titans, and we've got the bye. Roosters have the bye that week as well, and then we play them after then. I think we need to win 2 out of the next 3 games. And after that, it's that tough run again. Sharks, Eels, and I think South as well. I think, if I've read it correctly, I'm not looking at it right now. Before we have another bye, and then we get Newcastle. And that's where we get the advantage, where we have the bye and they don't. So we'll be coming off the bye, but they won't be. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think we need to beat Warriors, Titans. We'll need to beat Newcastle. All these teams are in that clunk of teams, probably from anywhere from 15th to 7th position. Warriors will be in that boat, I'm sure. Titans will be in that boat. And if we're going to play finals, we have to win those games. And the good thing is that, well, I can't talk too soon, but hopefully we're not going to have lightning keep striking us in regards to injuries. And there's some players starting to get some stuff happening there. So has Cameron Ciraldo lived up to the hype? Well, a lot's gone wrong. He's had to use 30 players. Sin bins, injuries, a lot of the sin bins not justified in my opinion. I can't justify any, to be honest, that have happened at this point. It's all good, well and good when it's a blatant professional foul. The sin bin of Corey Waddell, the sin bin of Jacob Preston, the sin bin of Kyle Flanagan in round 1. They're just, none of them made sense to me. And when you looked at everything in its own right, just completely bull. So, moving forward on that, we've lost wingers in the first 10 minutes of the game. This isn't an excuses fest. This is just some of the stuff that Cameron Ciraldo's had to deal with. Now, I felt that he could have put Jackson Topine onto the right edge and moved Burton across to the centres in those 2 games where we lost wingers, and then brought Grubb into the 5'8" position. But he didn't do that. He persisted with Topine. Now, maybe that's, we lose the battle there. We're probably already going to lose it. But maybe we win the war when those players under those conditions learn from what the adversity they were under. Good sides just knowing what to do in that situation with players that have played together for a long time. Just got the job done against a weakened edge, which is what happened. So those blowouts didn't help us. So looking through some of the stats, we're making more missed tackles. We're not holding the ball as much. Our completions are down at this same stage from last year, although we've won 2 more games. So what would you rather, win 4 from 10 or win 2 from 10? And I would suggest the opposition we've had this year has been tougher, in much tougher circumstances with lots of youngsters. And saying that, it's not the youngsters who have probably been letting us down. It's probably some of the more experienced players that have, in the efforts they're putting in, it's causing them to fatigue and make more errors. So errors are up. Our missed tackles are worse this year. Not making as many decoy runs as we were last year. Still about the same position on the table, like compared to the other sides in those stats. Defensively, we're about the same, tiny little bit better. And, you know, we've less ball, doing more defence. We've made the second most amount of tackles this year. Only the Warriors have made more. And our possession's only 74%. It was about 76% at this stage last year. So all those things have an effect. Things where we're doing much better. We're down on post-contact meters as well. Paul Vaughan was very good at that and earned a lot of post-contact for us. But one thing we'll say is that with less, we're doing more. Our kick return meters are way up there. Way better than they were last year. Our total run meters are way more advanced than they were last year. Our kick meters, the length of our kicks, has increased a lot since last year as well. So Burton's kicked further, getting more time. Now it comes down to strategy. So looking at some of those stats, more try assists, more line break assists, more tries, only smaller margins, but it all adds up. The kicking percentage is higher this year as well, which is good. So lots of a real mixed bag there when it comes down to it, but it's got us more victories. And to be fair, you would suggest the experience on the field in the first 10 rounds of this year for Canterbury has been way down on what it was last year, where we got quite a few experienced players. Losing Paul Vaughan's been big for us. Massive loss to us. I wish they kept him another year or so. Would have been massive for us, I believe, with the current pack we've got. And by all reports on the salary cap, could have afforded him too. So interesting decision that was. Real leader. But we move on. I probably don't need to keep going on about it, do I? Yeah, lots of positional changes, rookies coming into the side and then having to call on New South Wales Cup players, moving players around, changing positions. Now, while that's going to cost you a little bit, there's always a consequence with that. I think what you get from effort from the players increases. So I think there's more effort there. I think they're playing for their coach more than the previous side was. And the reason I say that is I think every player has improved. No one's regressed. As far as the effort and their effectiveness. So when I say that, their effectiveness of runs, players are making more meters on average from the runs that they make. We're getting a lot of service from our back five. Kick return meters is really high for Hayes Perham. That's helping us. Our overall stats for meters we make per set is much higher. And this is really something which I'd suggest is contributing to a couple more wins and staying in a lot of our games. The kicking game of Matt Burton, very imperative. So when you have Hayes Perham running on the fourth tackle, you know, jinking around, using that leg speed to get a quick play the ball around, much like you know, not as effective by any means as Dylan Edwards or James Tedesco, but the effort and intents there in that part of his game. And that's actually helping get those quick play the balls away, which is enabling Burton to kick deep into the opposition territory, which makes it hard for them to turn around and get back, which means their forwards are to go back an extra 10-20 metres, and it just helps us control the game a bit longer. We've been outmatched and outsized in lots of the forward battles, haven't been able to really, you know, enforce our will in the middle, and having forwards lose energy from the opposition because they have to run further on kick returns actually does help a lot. So there's a lot with the strategy which is helping keeping us in games, and that all comes down to the coaching. The fact that he's got players like Braden Burns now as the backup fullback, and you can see the vision that he employed in his game when he against St George, a man of the match performance, helping Avarillo to those two try assists and line break assists. Really good stuff from Ciraldo with that. Perham moving to fullback was always going to be a work in progress, and many were concerned about that. He is improving. Concerns around some of his intent around catching the ball sometimes in contested bombs. probably should be its own stat. Looking at things such as, players like Jake Averillo, who were happy to keep at fullback, hoping he'd get a pre-season, weren't happy that the coach did that. But you know what? He's got more reps this year as a centre than he's got anywhere, and the coach is definitely showing the knowledge that, and talking the right talk, no panic, sticking to his tasks, sticking to his beliefs and ideals, and also, not making excuses ever for the side, no matter what's happened on the field. No excuses, never letting the team believe that they were good enough to win that game if they lost it, because, but much more positive. Barrett made the team feel like we had to wait till next year to get some more players, and it just is what it is, and yada, 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 where he's holding these players to account, Cameron Ciraldo, and that's, to me is a much better aspect. Mick Potter was much like that. There's no excuses in these guys, and this coaching team's doing quite well. It's hard to live up to the hype, as I said, but there was just too much of it. But that's the Bulldogs in the media at the moment. They're just there every single day, knowing they're a big club in Sydney and across Australia, a huge brand, and that people are very interested in, loved and hated. Looking at other aspects, the way he's changed sides for a lot of players, had players change sides of the field. That's developing their overall game. He's got Flanagan into hooker the last 2 matches in New South Wales Cup. That's adding value to that player. It's making him more of a viable option for teams and for his career to be able to play in different positions. And if he's still with Canterbury as the games go on, Marnie gets an injury, if Harry Grant gets an injury and Marnie's called up for state of origin duties, you've got Flanagan might be able to come in and do a really good job. One of the halves break down, he's got that more resilience in his game, playing in the middle, and he's making like nearly 50 tackles a match in the first 2 matches. So really good to see for Kyle, working on those parts of his game. And that's only going to help him, I believe. They've done good work with Oluwapu. I was really concerned that it was too early for him. I was cautious about it. I'm not really worried about the attack. He's going to make errors there, and I won't be crucifying him for it. He'll do something brilliant too, which will wake the whole competition up, I'm sure. But right now, all I was concerned with was him making those tackles. And God, I was at the game against the Raiders, and in the first 2 hits, I could hear it from the sideline. Absolutely snapped a couple of players running at him. I think Hudson Young was the first one. Absolutely smashed him. It was fantastic. Shoulder straight into it. And watching the game later, I heard him talk about it, but it was even better at ground level, I can tell you that now. And it was pretty noisy, so I heard that. And he did another one, and those tackles changed momentum of those sets. So this all comes down to, I think, the coaching team doing a really, really good job of managing the players that are there. Now, another thing is you've got, with so many young people coming through and everyone trying, they're making more errors, they're chancing their arm more. They have been, which has contributed to less possession. There's been a bit too much impatience at times, but I think they've just got more free rein to try things, and it's more exciting for fans, it's more engaging. I don't think we played well against the Raiders at all, but then the fans at the end of the game weren't too disappointed because we stayed in it and nearly got the win in the end, and that's we scored 30 points. It's, at the end of the day, if we keep doing that, it's not going to be good. We've got to fix that defence. Missed tackles are up as well. In saying that, the team seems to have more line speed and applying more pressure. There's more rushing up. There's more risk being taken in attack and defence, and it's causing more errors. It's causing more penalties. It's causing more discipline issues. Not to mention referees pinning us for everything. It hasn't all been warranted or fair, in my opinion. But overall, the stats are suggesting we need to clean those areas up, and I think we will. So, does the hype match the performance? It's very hard for him to, but I rate him a 7 out of a 10 so far. I'll give him a B score on the report card if we're going to do that. Be interested to hear your thoughts. Do you think Cameron Ciraldo has lived up to the hype? I think we'll get some very balanced and mixed answers. I don't want to hear any sort of unconstructive stuff or disrespectful stuff. We normally don't on these, but sometimes that can creep in. And do you think we can make the 8 as well? I think we can, but I would be giving pretty long odds. It's going to be very tough. But, you know, if we can just get some cohesion going and get the same players rocking up week in, week out, I'm sure they will produce for this coach. I really do, and I think they will continue to win games, probably games they're not expected to win, and actually nail some of the teams that they're supposed to beat. I think we'll see more of that. I think we can, I'm confident we can win seven games for the remainder of the season. That would be 11 for the year. We probably need to win another 10 games though to guarantee a spot in the final. So that's my thoughts. Happy for everyone to share theirs. Hope everyone's doing well. 10 rounds of the season, a good time to have a look at things, and it'll be interesting to see the team changes on Tuesday. Thank you very much and have a great day, everyone.